I've had a lot of people ask me how I make my time lapses, and today is the day where I share my secret sauce on how to get these amazing time lapses. Now there are only a few things that you will need. One is going to be a drone, of course. The one that I use for most of my time lapses is a Air 2S. Why the Air 2S? Well, because it has a 1-inch sensor and it produces amazing images. Even though it's an older drone, it's still incredible. The other thing you're going to need is Lightroom. That's what I prefer. And the third thing that you're going to need is either Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve. I'm going to be showing you guys how I do it in DaVinci Resolve. So stay tuned and let's get into it. So before we jump onto the computer portion, or the editing portion of this whole thing, there are a few things that I will highly recommend, just kind of little tips on how to get these shots. So the first thing you want to do is you want to kind of plan your shot ahead of time. So what I mean by that is, you know, maybe try to get a sunset, try to get a full moon. Those shots are usually the best. They're going to look incredible. So your environment is probably the most important thing on, you know, creating this just like spectacular time lapse. The second thing is, this is important, you want to shoot in a very low shutter speed. For most of my night work, I'm usually at like 1/2 shutter, which is just like really slow shutter speeds, and then I have, you know, 800 ISO. Now even at 800 ISO, which seems low for a drone, that's kind of quite high. So you're going to have some grain in the footage, but don't worry about that because that's where Lightroom comes in. So the second thing is, what I do is I set my drone up for waypoints. So I select the starting point and then I just fly to wherever I want to go and I hit the end point. And then very important, what I do is I run that in reverse. So the drone doesn't have to waste a bunch of battery to come all the way back and then start, you know, shooting the time lapse. It's just literally going, you know, from the second point backwards. Now this right here, this tip is, if you don't do this, you're like pretty much screwed. You want to make sure that the drone is shooting in RAW. It has to shoot raw images. If you tell the drone to shoot JPEGs, you're going to have pictures that just are not as rich. They don't have enough data to produce these time lapses that I'm showing you here. Okay, so I think now we are ready to jump onto the computer. So I'm going to show you just step by step on my Mac here how I, you know, basically get my images. You're gonna see that they are raw, they're CNG images, which is just raw, and then how I process them in Lightroom. So let's do that now. Okay, so now that we have Lightroom open, let's look at the footage. So this is here a raw, it's a CNG, so it's a raw image. So I don't really do a whole lot of work here. I just make very minor adjustments because the Air 2S does a really good job at just rendering a great, beautiful image. So I don't really do a whole lot of color grading, but you can, of course, color grade this to your liking. You can see what I did here. Not many adjustments at all. One very important adjustment here, which is kind of like the secret sauce when it comes to doing just like really low light time lapses. So let me show you this really awesome feature that Lightroom has, and it is, let's open it up. It is this feature right here. Now this is denoise and it has these stars next to it. Now this is something that's fairly new. It's not like that new, but anyway, it is a fairly new feature. It's AI based, so it reduces high ISO noise, which is amazing, and it does a really good job. Obviously for this image, we are properly exposed, so you don't really need to use this, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to show you what it does. So you go ahead and click on that, and it will show you before and after. So here you're not really going to see a whole lot of enhancement, but if I had a darker image, this would be, yeah. So in this section right here, you can actually see how well it enhances the image. It does an amazing job. So we're gonna go ahead and hit enhance. It takes roughly 10 seconds. This is very computer based, so if you have a slow computer, this might take a while, but if you have a fast computer, it's going to be quick. So I have a M1 Max, so on this computer it's really quick. Okay, so once you make your adjustments and your tweaks and your enhancements on the first image, you can go ahead and copy, edit settings, okay, and then click the next image. And we're gonna go all the way down. You hit shift and you click left click, okay, and then we're gonna right click and we're going to hit paste edit settings. Now when I do that, it's going to take all the color adjustments, everything, and it's going to paste that into all the rest of these images. The only thing it's not going to do is do the AI enhancement. So you're going to have to do that right afterwards. So what you do is you're just gonna right click, you're gonna hit enhance, and it's going to tell you, hey, you have 174 images. It's going to take 1,740 seconds, which is like, I don't know, 30 minutes or so. So, you know, it could take longer depending on what type of computer you have. But that AI denoise is really a game changer. That's how you're able to get just really clean images in a really, really dark environment. And that's like my secret here for that. So then, once that's finished, you're gonna go ahead and export. Now, for this particular one, I wanted to do a 9:16. So just regular for Instagram, and I wanted to basically punch in to the image, and I wanted to show it as a 9:16. I didn't want to flip the image and have this like wide shot. So I select, so if you want to do that, you want to select large, JPEG large. You hit that, and then you tell your computer where you want to save the JPEGs. All right. So then after that, we're gonna go ahead and find the JPEGs. All right, so now you're gonna open up the folder where you saved your large JPEGs, and I got mine right here. All right, so now you have every single one of these images, and it's a JPEG. Everything is a JPEG. There's 175 images. You're gonna go ahead and let's just open up. So I already got DaVinci Resolve open. It's right here. Now I have already obviously created this video. Okay, so now we are in DaVinci Resolve, and you're gonna go to this first tab right here. This is where all your media is. Now this is very important. You're gonna hit this right here, and you're going to do you're gonna go right here, frame display modes. You're gonna go sequence. Sequence is important because if you don't have that selected and you just take your hyperlapses, your images, your JPEGs, and you drop it in, it's going to just take every single image and just drop it in as an image. So you're gonna have 175 images in DaVinci. What you wanna do is you wanna go ahead and select all of them like that, and we're gonna go ahead and just drop them in to Resolve. And as you can see, this is basically what it created. It just created a sequence. And the sequence, now it's right here. So now we're gonna go back into the timeline. Now we're gonna go ahead and go into the timeline. Now what I do is, the reason you see so many time lapses here is because I have a particular timeline with particular frame rates that I like. what I like to do is I like to create a timeline that is 4K, 30 frames per second, and then I just go ahead and I just drop these images just like how you just saw me do. This just makes it easy for me and consistent for me to just create a lot of these time lapses very easily. So here is that that footage. I'm gonna go ahead and drag this over. Okay, so now all this is just telling DaVinci what to render. So so as you can see, this image is blown up, but it still looks really good. And the reason is because we exported that JPEG large, so 100% full quality, and it's still extremely nice and beautiful. So what I did was I played around kind of with the positioning a little bit. Just kind of selected the frame that I like, and I punched it in 2.67 times to get this, you know, 9:16 image. If you don't know how to do if you don't know how to get the 9:16 image, you're gonna have to go to your settings right here for your timeline, and we're gonna go to image master settings, and you just hit, you know, set it to 1080 by 1920, and then your timeline here is going to be in the correct format for Instagram or, you know, TikTok or whatever. So the next thing is, once you have your footage in, you can go ahead and stabilize your footage. What I do is I select similarity. Similarity is it usually works the best, especially when you're moving up and down. It works really well for that. I select how smooth I want it to be. So in this case, 0.668, and then you hit stabilize, and then it's just going, DaVinci is just going to go ahead and stabilize the footage for you. And when it's done, it's going to look something like, oops, sorry, that's another one. It's going to look something like this. Now, so the reason my computer is stuttering here a little bit is because this image is just really high quality. Even though I have an M1 Max, it doesn't matter. This image is just really high quality. So now, let me get DaVinci back. Okay, so now we basically did all the legwork that we needed to do to get the image to where it needs to be. I'm gonna go ahead and render it now. Okay, so now you have a few different options that you can select here. So these are just my export settings. You could play around with these, but I found these to be the best for just the footage that I shoot. You can go ahead and, you know, just make sure that it's in 4K, 30,000 kilobits per second, I think is good for Instagram. And then make sure you do a multi-pass encode, and then, you know, just save it wherever you want to save it. Now DaVinci is going to go through and just basically render this, and when it's finished, you're going to have, then when it's done rendering, you can play it back, oops, and it's going to look something like this. Very nice. Looks awesome, if I may say so myself. And yeah, you can play around with the footage. There's a lot that can be done here because the quality of the footage is so good. So yeah, that's it for me today. I hope that you learned something new. If you like this type of content, please consider subscribing, comment. I want to hear kind of what you do when you make time lapses. And yeah, let's start a conversation. Thank you so much for sticking around. I know this might have been a long video, but I think it's worth going through this hassle to create these time lapses. One of my last time lapses, it did so well on Instagram. I think it got almost 1 million views. So this type of content, people love it. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.